Yo, today was a good day. I went to a little tournament in my area and went 6-0 undefeated playing this guy. Alright guys, we're here at the tabletop setup. I don't usually do this because I like to just use DigimonCard.dev because I like to support them. But I'm going to do tabletop today because I already had the deck out. There wasn't that much effort to set up. Usually it's a lot of effort to set up, but wasn't that big of a deal today. So we're going to do the tabletop setup. So let's discuss first why I chose to play megazoo and put a little spin on it to make it more competitive in this metagame. And that is one thing, and that is the color control deck that's been super hyped up since PPG and since even prior to that. People have been playing color control a lot recently. A way to constantly refuel your resources and wait for your opponent to run out of resources. And I was thinking, well, what can I do to beat that deck? Well, I can play around it. And honestly, playing around that deck is not that hard. But I was thinking, this deck can probably play around it way easier than other decks can. The idea of playing megazoo has been something I've been floating around my head recently because I really like the idea of being able to just slam down big boys and go deal with my answer. Because we do have a lot of removal in the format, but you have more cards that you can play over their removal. And I was thinking, I don't want to play Omnimon megazoo because that sounds really boring. And also, honestly, I don't think Omnimon megazoo is even that good in comparison. So I was thinking, why not just give this Ragna a try? Because Ragna, with the whole Durandamon thing, it gives me a blocker, gives me security attack +1, gives me a reboot. They're searchable. It's red, so when I play, I can play red option cards. It's black, so I can use the other evolutions, such as Ultra S, Millenniumon. There's a lot of different Ultras I can play, level 7s I can play. And there's a good amount of decent black and red hard plays. And then of course we have some options that will help the games extend longer so that you can get your plays off. Eventually you'll run your opponent out of like ways to respond to your big guys. So I decided, hey, let's give it a try. Originally I was not going to play this deck list, but I had it already out. I was playing a bunch of my friends prior to this. I'll tell you right now, this 2-0'd Shine, this 2-0'd Red Ragna, and this 2-0'd Red Omni, even before the tournament even started. So I was like, you know what, I'm running hot with this deck today. I guess I'll just play this today. So that's what I ended up doing, and I don't regret it at all. So we're gonna go ahead and go over this deck in chunks because I feel like it'll make more sense to talk about each part of the deck rather than talk about the deck as a whole. So you guys know the drill. If you like the video, subscribe, share, all that good jazz. I'm gonna be facing this way, so if the mic is a little bit weird, I do apologize. And hey, actually, one thing, I have another one of these like not regional, like local videos I've done as well for not this week, but the week before that, where I was playing Shine. I went 2-1. What was that? It was only a 3 round, so it was like 2-1 that day. And I have everything recorded, but I'm not really sure if I want to upload it. If you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments. If you're like, another Shine Greymon deck, who cares? Then yeah, I just want to upload it because who cares, right? But yeah, like the video if you guys like the content, and we're gonna go right over this. We're gonna start with 4 Zubamon. I'm playing the Zubamon because, and I'm not playing the Lodomon because, one, I just want a red Digimon so that I can activate my Gaia Forces more often. Which is pretty much the only reason why I play it. Other than it is searchable. It's also a cheap drop, which sometimes you want to be playing cheap in this deck, because if you're Mega Survive and you don't want your opponent to have a lot of memory, you can just play down a 3-drop and call it a turn. Sometimes it's really, really useful. Lodomon, or Lobomon, the black one, I forget if that's his name or not, could be worth playing. Maybe look into it. There's a few. I'm going to be making suggestions as I do this deck profile because this is definitely my first day playing the deck for so many games. So as I play the game, I've noticed some things, but overall, I really like the list. If you don't change anything, that works as well. But if there's a few changes here and there you can make. One of them is maybe add the Lodomon for more consistency, but the deck doesn't really feel like you need it. But that aside, we play that, and of course we play the full Ragnaloardmon package for Brightwood Ludramon, for Durandamon, and for Ragnaloardmon. Let me tell you, I'm not going to upload all the games that I played, but in one of the games that I played, hopefully it's the one I'm going to upload, I ended up hard playing a Ragnaloardmon because against control, against 2-color control, 1400 is a lot for them to deal with, and having security tag +1 and reboot is also a lot for them to deal with. So sometimes I just had a game where I'm like, you know what? None of my 10Ks are sticking. None of my other black or red hard drops are sticking. So I'm just gonna hard drop this because this thing has more than 12,000, which means things like the yellow version that reduces 12,000 DP. I should know this card. I just played Shine Greymon like all day the other day. That card, Glorious Burst, that's what it's called. There's 7 Heavens. The only thing that can really stop this is Gaia Force, which they only have 4 of. Most of them don't play any other like straight up removal cards other than Gaia Force. So everything else is based on DP or decreasing DP. So either they would have to play 2 ways to remove this card, or they would just have to not remove it. Even better if it has a blocker underneath, but that doesn't always happen against that deck. But it does sometimes because usually you actually out resource your opponent in that matchup, as you'll see in the video. But Ragnaloardmon, very strong card, giving you security attack +1, giving you reboot, hard to deal with. It's a blocker and a piercer if you have these guys underneath. But most importantly, it's just big fat body with security attack +1. That in itself is really good in this format. Having aggressive security checks and also a fat body is really strong, especially if you have reboot. So that's why I chose to play it. That's why I chose to play in this deck. This is a 4, 8, 12, 16 card part of your deck list. So if you wanted to make it the full 20 by playing the 4 Lotomon, maybe even 1 or 2 just for added consistency, you can. Also gives you more vanilla drops, or not vanilla drops, like hard drops that are low cost. But I think it's good with just this. I wanted to play the red one though, specifically so I could use my red option cards. But let's go ahead and go over the bodies in the for the rest of the deck, right? So these are the bodies. These are the decks that these are the Digimon you just play down just for, you know, having more Digimon that can attack aggressively, can stun, can control, can recover, yada yada. You know how it is. So first things first, 2 Skull. I'm not super confident if I like Skull. I will say that having Skull Greymon was very useful because it has given me the ability to not give my opponent 10 memory, which sometimes is nice for sure. You know, in this deck, you kind of have to get over the fact that you're going to give your opponent a lot of memory, right? But sometimes late in the game, it's nice to be able to not give your opponents 10 memory. Also, it gives you the ability to evolve instead of having the hard play. If you're going to play something like your Volk or your Durandamon, you have options to evolve into the Skull Greymon for an extra draw and less memory, obviously, as opposed to just hard playing them as well. So Skull Greymon is good for that. The Skull Greymon was not good for deleting blockers. I wasn't really expecting it to, but it is really good against Ragna. I'm not gonna lie. If you're playing against black or red Ragna and they're a blocker, you can just slam this down and kill them because they usually have a Bright Dramon underneath them. So that's pretty cool. 4 Volk because Volk is a good card. Even if you don't kill a lot of stuff, killing one thing in this deck while slamming down a body is good enough. Having security attack +1 in this meta is also good enough to where I was playing 4 Volk. Originally, I was only going to play 3, but as the tournament went on, as my testing went on, I realized that even if I'm destroying 1 or 2 things at a time, that is enough value for what I'm trying to achieve to make this deck worthwhile. Great versus Shine, great versus Green, great versus Control, great versus most decks, honestly. So yeah, we're playing 4 Volk. I'm playing 3 Machine Dramon. I don't know if I want to play 3 or 4. I actually really liked Machine Dramon. Machine Dramon is just a hard play blocker that de-digivolves. And de-digivolving is kind of nice. It's really, really nice against some decks. It's really detrimental against some decks. Straight up turning a Mega into a level 4 is very heartbreaking for a lot of decks out there. That stops any potential level 7s coming out. It also means that they have to find the level 5 and the level 6 again, which is de-digivolving 1 is just like, okay, they just have to find the last combo, right? But when you de-digivolve something, ooh, whoops, you have to you have to find both cards to bring yourself back up to that position. It's not really a memory problem at that point. It's about searching for your cards at that point, which when you're trying to find 2 cards, not super easy in a game that has no tutoring. The blocker is nice. Being a black is good because that means you can evolve this over Ragna, and then you can play one of the Ragna pieces to make the evolution cost for it 0 still by putting a Duranda or Brightwood underneath. Oh, my computer's being loud. I do apologize. And it's just a blocker, and being a blocker is good against a lot of different decks. This thing put in work versus Allforce that I had to play in that tournament as well. So I am a huge fan of this card. It's also another black body, and I'm not playing High Andromon, and I'm not playing Phoenixmon in this deck list because I just don't feel like they're necessary. Like, sure, it's nice to have more 10 drops, so it's a cheaper mega, but at that point in the game, I'm not super concerned about the memory. I'm also not even concerned about having a easy to find 10 drop because I am playing both the Searcher, which I cannot remember the name at the moment, the Zubamon, and I'm also playing, you know, a 4/4 line of the Duranda and Brightwood. So I am playing, what was that, like 12 different Digimon, not counting the Skull Greymon, which is 14. I'm playing 14 different Digimon in this deck that are 10 or below, so if I am forced to go first, I still have a play to make. And that's not even including the Vmons that I play in this deck as well. So like if you count the Vmons, which usually I don't like playing them because they're my evolution fodder to help me cycle through the deck. But if I do count the Vmons, it is, what is that, 16? No, 4 plus 4, 18. 18 cards. That's a good chunk of cards in my deck that I can easily hard play. So that's why I don't play those cards. Of course, I am playing a quote-unquote control deck, so I'm obviously playing 4 MagnaDramon and 4 Papamon as well. Obviously, great cards. MagnaDramon being able to recover your security by 2 when you get 3 or below, which is excellent. Also, decent attacker. Same with Papamon. Even stunning 1 Digimon is enough because it just makes the game go longer. It's hard for them to deal with your Papamon. Papamon also gains you memory. Not always the most useful thing, but is useful nonetheless. You'll find that in these decks, they'll want to attack your security right away. They actually want to attack your security while they have low amounts of Digimon too, because they're afraid of your security. They're afraid of your Gaia Force, your Cocytus Breath. They're afraid of your cards that can remove other Digimon. So in order for them to not be punished as much, they usually attack while they only have 1 Digimon on board. So then being able to go, all right, well, you survived the security check, Papamon, you're not going to be able to attack again. I have 1 big body when whatever I had surviving last turn, so I'm good to go. So that's it for like the big boy megas. Nothing really else I've considered playing, honestly. I have considered cutting the skulls for anything else, but I do appreciate having a level 5 red Digimon I can slap down. Also, they're just more red Digimon, which means my Gaia Forces are live that much more often, so I'm a fan of that. As far as the megas I play outside of the Ragna, I'm playing 3 Millennia and 1 Alter S. Obviously, these all evolve from black. This one evolves from black and red. How do I feel about this? Okay, so I guess we can discuss this real quick. This is just, for me, in my mind, I kind of think of this as another Volk, right? Because it's another board clear card. It's also de-digivolving, which is nice. Not the most relevant thing as far as my matchups go, unless I play against block or black or something like that. I don't think it's going to matter too much. But being able to de-digivolve and board clear, while also digivolving myself, which means I get to draw more cards, is excellent. I was going to play a 2-2 split. My other Alter S did not come in the mail yet. I just decided to finish the master set. I bought the regular art one. Not here, so it is what it is. So I ended up playing 3 of these instead. So I love Millenniumon. I think Millenniumon is one of the most slept on Ultras in the game. It's a card that, like, when it dies, it doesn't die, which in itself is kind of ridiculous. And it also doesn't destroy. So if you're playing against something like Craniumon, which prevents destruction, this puts it back in the bottom of the deck, which is an excellent way to remove a card without destroying it. It's also like a great way to remove things like vengeance users, like Devimon and not Papamon. What's that? Piedmon, that's his card. So vengeance users are out of the way. Just can't really think of many other examples off the top of my head. But being able to get rid of cards, especially Craniumon that has been seeing a little bit more play in the game lately, is really nice. So free spot removal, as well as a Digimon that you always are okay with attacking into security, because if you hit a Gaia Force, you get destroyed, then you come right back because of its rebirth ability. If you have a Digivolution source underneath it. Whew. Excuse me. Which is kind of insane, which is why I love this card, which is why I don't even know if I want to change this, honestly. I think I want to keep 3, but at the same time, it depends on how the meta develops, if I want to play another one of the Alter S or not, or if I even want to play like any of these at all. Like, these are some of these cards here, especially if you're playing on more of a budget. You don't have to play Alter S, you don't even have to play the Millenniumon, you're good without it. Like, if you wanted to make these 4 spots your Lobomons, you could exactly. I just think these cards are too good not to play. And once again, the spot removal and the recovery that Millenniumon gives you is kind of insane. For the option cards I'm playing, let's go ahead and talk about that. We're playing 4 Gaia Force. Don't know why. Okay, sure. 4 Gaia Force, of course, because spot removal is good. 4 Cocytus Breath. And the biggest change I've made to this list, as opposed to most other lists, is that I'm only playing 1 Kaiser Nail. My mentality with this card is that if it goes off once in a game, that's as much value as you're gonna get out of that card ever. Because your Digimon never survive, right? In this format where there's enough removal in the game to be kind of annoying, your Ragnas are not always gonna survive the game. You really only want to pull this card off once. It's a brick a lot of the time, and it's useless most of the time. You know what I mean? Like, when you're playing against Ragna, all you're doing is putting another dude on the board, another black or red when you're using this on, when you're using this on Ragna, you're not really achieving much. If you have Brywiludramon or Durandamon underneath it, you're just kind of putting another dude on the board for 4, which is nice. That's achieving a lot, all things considered, but it's not really doing any cool effects. When you're playing this while you have Volk or Machine Dramon underneath, that's when it gets real spicy, because you get their on-play effects. But it's really not good enough for me to want to play 2 or 3. I've definitely noticed that it has been a big brick for me, and I don't want to have bricks into my deck, especially since my deck is megazoo. Reducing bricks is very important. So Kaiser Nail, you could play this as a 1 of, 2 of if you really like the Kaiser Nail, 0 of if you think the Kaiser Nails are just like, they're too cute and you don't really want to play them. I would not be mad if you cut the Kaiser Nail altogether. I will tell you that much. Cocytus Breath and Gaia Force, though, make your security even more scary. You already have a bunch of really strong megas in your security. Might as well add more option cards that could be very annoying. We play the Cocytus Breath because, of course, we have blue Digitama. So, there we go. That's why we play the blue cards. If you don't, oh, by the way, that's another thing. If you don't like the Cocytus Breath, and you don't like the Vmon package which I'm playing, which, let me discuss that real quick. This is probably the reason why I play the blue cards, though, because the Vmon package is so good. We play 4 Demi Vmons, no Upamons. Upamons are actually less reliable than Demi Vmon, because we are playing the Vmon here. Because Vmon, of course, has jamming, so it's always safe to attack into security, and it's awkward because they have to attack this Vmon, or else this thing's going to be constantly not only picking away at my opponent, but then we draw cards, because this card lets you draw a card if you attack with a Digimon that has jamming. If this Digimon has jamming, trigger draw 1. So, you draw 1 from evolving. Okay, that's great. You move to the battle area, you just attack. Even if they have a blocker, as long as you feel like you need the draw, or if you just want to make that blocker get rested so you can kill with one of your other Digimon, you just attack with a Vmon, because that draw is so good. Being able to draw in megazoo just feels so nice. So, I'm playing this. I'm not playing Upamon. I'm not playing Gabumon. Gabumon, to me, doesn't make any sense. Why play a Digimon for 3 to get you another card when you could just play more of the card you want to find, is my mentality. And also, if you're going to evolve the Gabumon anyways, if you're going to evolve into the Gabumon already anyways, because you're playing Gabumon to put into your egg slot, why even play Gabumon, you know? Because if you play Gabumon as another way to draw cards. And obviously, there are situations where, oh, I have like 4 Gabumon in hand, so I can evolve 1 in the raising area, and then hard play 1 and draw an extra card. Those situations happen, but they're not going to happen often enough to where I think, okay, let's just play more Gabumon. I'd rather play more of the control megas that make this deck good, and more of the Ragnaloardmon line and more of the spot removal that this deck needs, as opposed to playing more rookies that are just free draws that are unnecessary because there's no plus ones. It is neutral. It's hand neutral, and it's hand neutral while giving up 3 memory. So really, it's not neutral at all. It's neg. I mean, you get a body on board, I guess, which is nice for security check. Which they'll just play a blocker anyway, so who cares? At least in this format, I see a lot of blockers in this format. So this is, yeah, that's like the whole list, right? There's nothing else to think of. The only other reason why I would consider playing Gabumon or any other blue rookie is if I wanted to play a 5th egg, which would be Upamon, like 1 Upamon for more draws, more cycling through the deck. Very rarely do I go through, if ever, honestly, unless I'm trying to deck out my opponent, very rarely do I go through all 4 eggs. Even in the decks that I have decked my opponent out, I've never gone through all 4 eggs. So that's why I don't do that, but yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's the deck profile, guys. I'm not going to show you guys a bunch of games, but I'll squeeze in 1 or 2 games in here just so you guys can see what exactly this deck is all about. So yeah, if you guys have liked the video, let's go ahead and hop right into the games. Alright boys, we got 2 quick games to show you. Well, they're not so quick. These are sped up quite a bit. The first game I'm going to show you guys is against the long game, which is going to be 2 color control, red and yellow. I've had a few games today. I guess I'll talk about all the games I had in total in a little bit, but we're going to showcase these 2 decks because I feel like they're the best 2 decks to showcase, just for like what I'm trying to talk about this video. But of course, he's going to be doing yellow control things. So not too much to talk about on his side. He's playing his option cards to delete my dudes. He's playing TK to look at his security. He's playing constant cards that'll help him recover security. And I'm over here just trying to play my resources. Hopefully he runs out at some point. I am going to start with Durandamon. The reason why I'm only showing 1 of these games is because, like a lot of the games today, they have a glare. So just 1 today. He's going to go ahead and play Glorious Burst, destroy my guy. And this is going to be like what the game is. Now what I'm going to try to do is out resource him and potentially deck him out in this game, because one thing that a lot of yellow players, at least 2 color control players, don't realize is that when they're constantly using their recovery options to recover their security, the recovering is almost as bad as drawing a card as far as decking yourself out, right? I'm going to play Skull Greymon here, attack with Vmon. I ran into one of the jamming, not the security Digimon, so that's why it was the Greymon that came out as option cards. But yeah, they deck out really quickly when you're constantly putting your deck into your security, right? So it's really easy for me to deck out my opponent when it comes to this deck, because every time I play down a card, they have to respond, and every time I attack, they have to recover. And they're not getting a lot of times to attack my security in the meantime. If they do attack security, then I have cards like MagnaDramon myself. So that's pretty cool. Puppamon and whatnot. So he's going to use Seraphimon, recover. But yeah, I played against this deck. I played 2 games against this deck, 2 games against Ulforce. I played a Ceres Green. What else did I play against? Yeah, Ceres Green. I played... What else did I play that day? I played against a Shine. I played against a Red Ragna. I played against a Christmas Tyranno deck, a red and green Tyranno. Oh, I don't know what that card, the Bifrost card, I forget what it does, but it deleted my guy. I think it does exactly like 4,000 or something like that. It's really ridiculous. But there we go. I'm just going to go ahead and swarm my board with rookies, which is really funny because I'm a mega bug deck. I'm just doing this to draw through my deck, cycle through my deck. That was 2 big misplays though. Because of my game plan is to essentially deck out my opponent, I'm going to be seeing the bottom of my deck. So I should have actually organized those cards that I put back in the bottom of the deck. So now those 8 cards in the bottom are not going to be random anymore. I could have made them not. They are random now. I could have made them not random if I actually organized them, because it does come into play. Because I do end up going down to the bottom few cards in my deck, but I mean, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. I'm going to keep attacking here with my big boys. If they die in security, it's fine. We're going to use Millenniumon here to get rid of that guy and also give my opponent not that much memory. It gives me a draw as well. And because Millenniumon's a blocker, thanks to Bryoldramon, his Skull Greymon drop does actually kill the Millenniumon. But Millenniumon comes back because it's Millenniumon and then immediately dies to the Gaia Force in security. So, oh boy. When you're playing against color control, it's not like the most... what's the word? Exhilarating gameplay, I guess. Because you know what's going to happen, right? Like, you play down a dude, they destroy the dude, you attack security, they recover. I'm trying my best to make sure I can delete his red boys. Here, you're going to see that I'm not going to do it. I have the ability to because he's rested. So next turn, I can attack him with Puppet, but I did draw a blocker, so I figured, well, I might as well keep attacking security to force him to keep doing his thing. I'm going to play down the big boy that I just drew to make him block so that he can't attack my security anymore, because if he does, he'll get destroyed by the blocking. And at least for the turn, right? Which means that for one turn, he's not around, which is pretty convenient. If I destroyed it, that did prevent him from playing cards like Gaia Force, so you could argue that was a better play. I think, honestly, it might have been the better play. My fear was that he has more ties and more Greymons he could just play down. So I decided just to attack security, because how you win in this deck and how you win against this deck is you got to just attack the security, man. You got to be ready to go wide, attack security when you can, because if you don't attack security, you're going to die anyways, because they're going to kill something with their option cards. So might as well get as much value out of your Digimon as you can. Maybe you'll even deck out your opponent, right? As you can see, I'm just going through the motions here. We're going to go ahead and get the Bravo. So now I have a blocker on board that can attack, has piercing, security attack +1, which is why this deck is actually so good versus the controller control. It's because your main boss monster does have security attack +1. And security attack +1 against control is very annoying, especially if their cards don't immediately destroy you. Things like Seven Heavens won't destroy you. The only card that will destroy you is the Gaia Force, actually. So like their Digimon themselves won't destroy you. Their Seven Heavens won't. All their other option cards except for Plasma Stake and Gaia Force. So it's pretty handy, all things considered. I'm going to go ahead and keep playing these Puppetmons. As you can see, thanks to MagnaDramon and Puppetmon, they're the other reason why this matchup's actually like easy to go through, because once you get low on security, you just play Magna. Once they have dudes on board, you just play Puppet. Puppet lets you gain security and more bodies on the board that can attack, and they're forced to either get rid of or let me attack. So yeah, they definitely do the job against all decks, but it's especially good versus this deck. The Gaia Force, so yes, I would destroy Puppetmon because, you know, it gains me memory when it attacks, which is nice. And we just, this is where I hard play the Ragna, because at this point in the game, he's running really low on cards that can deal with Ragna. He doesn't have many Gaia Forces left. He doesn't have any Plasma Stake left, I believe, at this point in the game. So here I can just play this dude down, and it'll just take multiple security at a time, and has reboot, so he can't be attacked over, although it's very unlikely that he can attack over me. Technically he could with like Seraphimon, with the Magna Angemon below it, and all these ties that he has down on the board, because with enough security he does get stronger by like, he can get stronger with enough security. But here he's just playing down bodies so that he can win the game, because he has, I mean, the only other way to get rid of this Ragna is from to play multiple different option cards at the same time, which is very difficult to do if I don't give him that much memory. Here I'm terrified though, because I just gave him another Digimon on the board, so we're going to go ahead and play the Magna to prevent myself from losing next turn. 4 Digimon on board, I reboot once again, so you can attack me, but they'll probably delete themselves thanks to the, you know, the fact that I'm playing megazoo and my security is pretty stacked. There you go. His board is cleared. And Seraphimon, not Seraphimon, the dog Digimon, whose name I'm blanking on right now, did not die, which means he did not get recovery. Not like it matters too much. Now it does matter though, because now I can't win the game. Now we're going to attack here. Seven Heavens for no effect, like I mentioned earlier. This is why I'm not afraid to attack security at this point in the game, which is why I think the hard play of the Ragnar is pretty good. I'm just not going to... Oh yeah, we're going to go ahead and Kokaitis. Oh yeah, I'm Kokaitising Breath that guy so he can't attack security and recover. So it's just one more way for me to try to close out the game the following turn. He did have Magna though, so he still recovered. We're going to go attack security now. Obviously that doesn't do anything. As you can see, he has 3 cards left in the deck. I still got a good chunk of cards in my deck. I hit the bottom 8 when I start drawing VMons, I think. Because I did see a bunch of VMons really early when I played those Zubamons. That's what I meant, like, if I organized them, I could have drawn the right cards, like exactly what I wanted, but at this point in the game, it doesn't really matter. He's reducing my DP on my Volk, and I'm assuming he's going to play that Shield of Just in his hand. Let's see. He kind of has to, right? He can attack security here. Kaiser Nail for no effect. Once again, another reason why Kaiser Nail is just kind of okay. But as you can see, he shield adjusted me. I'm going to attack the guy, and then I'm going to play Magna and recover my security some more. As you can see, kind of ridiculous. I have reboot. Can he do anything? I know he can definitely recover some more. He needs to delete. If he can delete my guy here, then he has another turn, which he should be able to do. Another Eden to reduce my Magna. Then he's going to finish it off with something. Oh no, he just doesn't finish it off. He just uses it to draw a card. Attack security. It's 7 heavens, so it still dies anyways. And then we're going to go ahead and play Kokai's Breath to put back that Salamon. That's what it's called, Salamon again, because I don't want him to get that free recovery. Now here's the weird play that I made. He has 1 card left in the deck. I was like, I want to deck him out. I don't want to win through attacking. I could have maybe won that turn if I attacked with Ragna, security attack +1, finish the game with the dude, with the Vmon. I decided against it. I wanted to see, I mean, obviously it could have costed me the whole game, but I know that he was running really low on everything that's good, especially based off the way he was playing. So I was like, all right, we're just going to go ahead and have fun with it here, because we were just joking around with these guys. All right, so now I'm playing against Ulforce. I'm just going to hard drop the blocker, because this deck plays lots of Digimon, lots of low, it plays a lot of rookies, plays a lot of ways to attack over and over again. So having a blocker is really, really good. And then obviously when you have the blocker with a Volcanic Dramon in your hand, it's just even better. The combo is so great. You give them a lot of memory, they're just like, well, I'm gonna make my board really wide. And then you boom, clean them up with a Volk. He's 12k DP, so I didn't want to block it. He hits into a Ragna immediately, so he just dies anyways. But yeah, Ulforce didn't have a way to attack multiple times that turn, but did have a way to get 12,000, so he could at least clash with my Machine Dramon. But just didn't happen, I guess. Vmon to draw a card. And I do know there was, like, not in this game, but in a different game versus this deck, I had a problem where I chose to attack with Digimon that wasn't Volk first. So and then Volk dies, and Volk has the security attack pluses. So I should always attack with your security attack pluses first, because that way, if they get deleted through any like security options, then you get at least the most of, potentially the most amount of value when you attack with them first. But yeah, I have double Vmon. This is the one time I've played a Vmon hard in my hand. That's because I pretty much had game the following turn. So I was like, well, if I just hard play the Vmon, then I just attack a bunch and I win. He can't delete everything at the same time. Yeah, Kokai's Breath, and I just attack with my Machine Dramon for game. And that's going to be the video, guys. I played against, the other game versus this deck was like not super great. He did find a lot of blockers in that game though, and I had like all my Ludomon, Zubo, I can never remember the guy's name, the red one that searches for the Legend Arms, and my Vmons. I had a bunch of those, but I couldn't attack because he had all 4 blockers really early in the game. So it took me a long time to close out that game, which is very strange versus blue, because blue you either close out or you lose immediately. Which luckily I did not do any of the losing part that day. Ignore the background noise. I was just kind of taking apart a deck because I wanted to play more games just while we were chilling and waiting for the next round. But yeah, we played against this. I played against Red Ragna, which is very scary. I played against what did I play? But we managed to win the Red Ragna. Shine, we just kind of overwhelmed Shine. The problem with Shine is that they have to find their Shine Greymons, and if they don't find their Shine Greymons, they just lose, which is the reason why I'm not a huge fan of the Shine Greymon deck, personally. But if they don't find their Shines, they just lose, and that's just what happened in those games, is that they just didn't find their Shines. Sarismon was just, you know, Volk and Ulf and Ultra S that kind of blew them out. Other color control game went very similar to the first one, and what else did I play? I'm just gonna end this video now, whatever. Okay, this video's been going on for long enough. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, share all that good jazz. Let me know if you like this kind of content, and I'll see you guys next time.